All right, guys. I believe this is super delayed, so give it a second to catch up. But how are you guys doing on this Thursday afternoon? We're doing pretty good here. And I'm going to start because I got a comment yesterday, and before I even see the chat, the first comment was left by somebody named Nick. Yesterday on the Fender video, somebody named Leandro, they made a similar comment, and they wanted me to address the fact that when we were going over the new Fenders, the classic vibes that were new are now $599. We're not sure if that's going to be the standard classic vibe kind of pricing from here on out, or if that's going to be just for these limited run models. I don't know. I think it's a dangerous precedent to set. I think if enough people buy these at $600, that's going to become normal because they're already $5. So maybe when that next price increase happens in, I think June, maybe that's going to be the permanent pricing. How do you guys feel about that? We're going to get right to the poll. How's it going, Gavin? Good evening. How are you all doing? Okay. Too much for a classic vibe. All right. We got the poll question out of the way immediately so that everybody who comes in, because I know not everybody stays, most of you do, but some people just pop in. I'll get the most people to vote on this as possible. I want to see really where you guys all stand with this because I think it's outrageous. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't spend more than what I spent used on the Classic 5 Jag. That guitar was a nightmare. And I spent 300 something bucks on that. And that had really good pickups in it that somebody installed. That guitar still had a lot of problems. So for $600, I think you're kind of crazy. Let me see. All right, minimize that. All right. Classic vibes, but modern price tags. Rowan, that is one way to look at it, my friend. That is one way to look at it. I don't know. Especially when I show you guys some of the prices that you can get American standards, even if you wanted the Mexican standards. Those are $500 at Dave's. Why wouldn't you do that? And Nick makes a good point. If you don't care about like resale value, you're really stupid not to build a parts caster at that point. You're really dumb. If you really just want an instrument and you know what you want. I mean, that's the one mistake that a lot of people do with parts casters. They don't really know the specs they actually like. They think they do, especially when it comes to the neck. So they'll build something, they'll save a lot of money doing it, but they'll never really enjoy it and it won't live up to what they want. So that's why I really recommend getting those sets of digital calipers. That way you can measure the thickness of the neck at both the 1st and the 12th fret, and that'll give you a really good idea of what you want. And most really good stores, they're going to tell you what those measurements are, and you'll be able to have a really good idea before you actually get your hands on the instrument that you're going to like it. And that's the most important thing. So if you're going the parts caster route, it's worth it to have the extra stuff around. It's also good to have around if you ever want to flip stuff. People take you a lot more seriously if you can provide stuff like that. What problems did you have? Yeah, because I had the 60s Jag, the pink one. And as you can see, it is no longer assembled. It's not hanging up. The body is sitting in the closet. I'm going to get a neck for it with no brand name on it. I haven't decided. I'm going to reach out to some of the smaller places and see what we can do as far as getting exactly what I would want for that to fit a smaller hand, meaning my daughter's, because that one Jaguar neck that I had, she couldn't even come close to holding it correctly because it was so thick. It was almost the size of the Les Paul Standard, which is a 50s neck at the 12th fret, and she's a toddler, so I want something a little bit thinner for her. My first Squire Strat was $150.99. Seems a little steep. $600 is where the Mexican stuff should be priced. That's where it should be priced. That's about what the majority of the Mexican line is worth to me. There's been a few exceptions. There's a few guitars that Fender Mexico got really right, where I could understand them being a little bit more money. Both of the Baja Telecasters were really good guitars, and especially at the time, great value. And the classic liqueur Jaguar and Jazz Masters, those were really good too. Those are good value. But outside of that, it's a lot of run of the mill stuff. People always say, or that for whatever reason, there's this stigma around Made in Japan that all the electronics are bad in those, but they'll happily play the stock electronics that come in the regular like Vinteras or stuff. And I'm just like, you realize that those aren't any better. And the craftsmanship overall isn't as good as the Japanese stuff. So if you're going to be ripping out the electronics anyway, why not start with a better instrument? That's just me. That's just me. If a player is 850 and a Squire full out for 600 seems appropriate, I mean, I guess. I don't think any of it's appropriate. I could build a better guitar than both of them for less. Like significantly better guitar than both of those for less. They do look good. That's the one thing that you guys, well, the bullets are pieces of shit. I know it's not cool for YouTubers to say that, and it's very controversial to kind of not say the best things about Fender, Epiphone, Gibson, stuff like that, but those bullets are not good guitars. The modern ones. No. Maybe, I don't know. Even some of the earlier Japanese bullets, those weren't as good as like the SQ Squires that came out. A little bit, I think it's like a year or so difference. Those were really cheaply made. Those bullets. 1050 for a thin line. Yeah. See, Rick, you did it right. If you wanted to do that, that's the way you do it. You get the case on top of it with it, so you save yourself the money on that. You pay less. I hope you, well, I mean, if you could get it locally and not have to pay any tax on it, $850 for a guitar like that with a case included, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. So, and especially in this market, that's really decent. Can't lie to you about that. The line looks really nice. Yeah, I really like the look of a few of them. I think it's cool that they have bound necks and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you can't polish a turd so much. A guitar can look beautiful, but if it doesn't play great, what's the point? I don't know. That's the thing. Different lines in Squire. I mean, yeah, they do range a lot in quality and consistency. That's the killer of all of these. And that's why when they were priced lower, when things didn't work or you knew you had to replace basic things to get it to function, we're not talking about, oh, I don't like the tone of this instrument. We're talking about things like playing stability, tuning stability, the frets not physically hurting as far as the fret edge goes because they're not properly sanded off even just a little bit. They're just really rough, stuff like that. That's stuff that you can get past when the guitars are really cheap or like an entry-level cost. But when you're buying a $1,000 instrument or a $600 instrument in the case of the Squire, $1,000 in case of some of the Vinteras, I mean, and they still come, not great. That's not good value to me. And it's still not good value, especially because you can argue that the new prices of American stuff is much more expensive, and it is. But there's still so much used that is in great condition that is vastly superior. So you're getting a better instrument. You're getting an instrument that will hold its value better, that plays better, that sounds better. I mean, I don't know why so many people are up against just buying used. It's the way to do it. It's how I have custom shop guitars. You think I'm spending $5,000 on a brand new one of those things? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Let me see. No tax and there wasn't a scratch on it. Rick, you won. You have followed the guide to the T. That is exactly it. What finish did you get on that? I had a Japanese Telecaster thin line with the two humbuckers, and it was in flamingo pink. I like that guitar. I wish the neck wasn't as glossy on it, but that was a pretty cool guitar. Still kind of like a Tele though. I remember when I made the video with that and the Gibson that's behind me, the 339. The Gibson was like huge sounding compared to it. Who pays Fender's suggested retail anyways? I always ask for a discount. Well, you used to be able to do that and consistently be able to negotiate price. The problem is, I'm going to reference something that was brought up earlier. I think it was Marcus who brought it up. Fender CEO is not lying when they're talking about the low stock of things and just they can't keep up with the demand. So I also think, I started to talk to somebody else in my comments about this. I think one of the reasons that they're doing this modified JVs and why they modified them the way they are is to try and keep up with some of the demand for the models that might not be available right now, like some of the Player Pluses and Vinteras and things like that of that nature, because of the way that they did modify that. They chose to modify the JVs because, let's be honest, I love Fender JVs, the real ones. Those things are nothing like them. They're nothing like them. So they're trying to cash in on nostalgia of that, which I understand. But also, the Fender Japan factory, having them ship out a few more guitars for the American market, that also fits in a need where people would be able to get something that might not be available because of supply from the Mexican or the American factories at a comparable price. Makes sense from a business standpoint. I mean, you already have the factory. Why not make better use of it for not just the Japanese domestic market and the Asian markets, make use of it for the American market too. You just can't overstress it because clearly they don't work to the same scale that either the Ensenada or the Corona factory work at. Let me see here. So, used Fender Japan hybrid. Yeah, Fender Japan's the best, man. Used Fender Japan's the best. Well, if anybody wants a deal, I'm selling that hybrid California Blue. I'll sell for $800 flat if you live in America. Shoot me an email. Yeah, we're going to be holding on to, and the Troublemakers for sale. I don't know. I hinted at Marcus about this. I think he's the only one that picked up on it. But we have one more guitar coming in, and I was really tempted. One of the shops in Japan had the same Mustang. The custom shop that I have, the Ocean Turquoise with the matching headstock, but made in Japan. It would have cost me $1,500 to import it. That would have been a fun comparison, comparing a Japanese one with a custom shop, but I couldn't do it at that point because with all the selling fees and after all these bullshit taxes and imports that have gone up and the shipping that's now like $350 from Tokyo from a few of the shops, it's not worth it. There's no profit in it. I haven't heard the new Scandal album. We'll get to that a little later, but I will say this real quick. We're actually going to see Scandal. This is going to be my daughter's first real concert. We're going to go to Atlanta. We're not sure if we're going to drive 8.5 hours or if we're just going to fly in, but that's in July. From Wildwood Guitars, they even did a free setup. Yeah, oh, Wildwood's the best. That's why. That's where I bought my Les Paul. Nobody beats Wildwood. They are, them and Dave's. Dave's is really good with used. Wild is probably better with used, quite frankly. But Wildwood as a whole, there's no place I would trust to buy a new guitar more than Wildwood Guitars. Have you heard of Xavier Guitars? Yeah, I live right down the street from them. I live about an hour from where they're all located in Florida. They're okay. They're nothing to write home about. Hey everyone, doing great. Have you noticed the rise of Yes, Eastman's, dude. The Eastmans are absurd. The T386s went from being available very easily for $800. Like I could like throw, what's the expression here? You know, just throw caution in the wind. That's not even it. But anyways, I could look anywhere and I'd be able to find one for $800 without much effort. Now, you're lucky to find one at the full retail of $1,000. The SBs, which are the Les Paul style instruments, those are all now $1,300-$1,400. It's used. Yeah, those have gone up. I don't know, the Shinji guitars or the Shige guitars, I don't know. I've been kind of put off by them, but it's not their fault, if that makes any sense. And I'm only put off for them because I have the guitar models that I would want from them that they make that are like the good ones. Like I don't need another Telecaster. I don't need it. Not for that kind of money. Um, yeah, I've never heard of ENXI. I've never heard of that one. But right after we made that video, Guitars raised the price of their guitars because somebody left a comment. They're like, "You lied." They're like, "You said this guitar was $350. It's like $500." I was like, "What?" I went to Amazon and sure as shit, yeah, they raised the price on that. They updated the pictures, but they raised the price. So, oops. Let me see here. Okay. So mine is Aged Natural. Aged Natural is very nice on a Telecaster. You can see the grain. You can see the grain really well. Where they win is the offering different features and finishes in Squire line, like the Paranormal series. Okay, Rick, I'm going to warn you about that guitar. I'm going to warn you about that guitar because we had that guitar. Only buy that capital Nate to thin line if you have no intentions of upgrading it. If you're happy with it as it is, well, if you upgrade the hardware, that's fine. But don't put any real money into that guitar. And do not think you're going to fit a Fender neck or a regular sized neck replacement into that if you don't like that super thin neck that already comes on it. Because the neck pocket is not cut right. It's not cut to spec because Squire and Fender China don't give a shit about matching their own specs. The $80 Guitar Fetish body was cut to a better spec than the actual Fender licensed one. That guitar was a nightmare. And I have a guy, Roman, who I swear to God, God bless this guy. He sends me like 10 to 15 messages a day on Instagram, and he's had nothing but problems with his and just wiring and ground noise. And he's brought it to like 3 techs. I'm like, wouldn't you give up at this point? Like if you put like $1,000 into a glorified $390 guitar, like that's crazy to me, man. I told him, I kept telling him, cut your losses, man. Cut your losses. Just get out of it. It's clearly not for you. It's not going to work out, but he keeps going. Dave's had an Eastman. Yeah, Dave's, the Eastman stuff's flying off of Dave's. So is the custom shops, the Fender custom shops. They had a Fender custom shop thin line that was beautiful. Beautiful guitar. It was the 2 single coils. I think it was $2,400 flat. It's a great price. They don't want people putting Fender necks on Squires. Well, here's the thing. The classic vibe, it'll fit. And there's no reason for them not to want to do that because that keeps you within, the Fender family, so to speak. So if your cheapest model is able to be upgraded with the neck, that makes sense because you're going to get a returning customer. Maybe they love the look, and that's the trap that I fell into and that Rick is talking about here with the Capital Nate, the thin line. The body is so unique. You can't get a Mexican, American, or Japanese guitar like that has the 2 Jazzmaster style pickups and a hollow body, or a thin line rather. You can't get that. So your only way you can get it is either you have it custom built from an independent builder, or you buy one of the Squire Paranormals off the shelf. You don't have that option to do that. The only model that comes close is the Jimmy Atkins, Jimmy Eats World, but that's white, and those are Seymour Duncan P90s in it. Not exactly Jazzmaster pickups, and it's a different kind of look to it, So, but what my point being, if you wanted to be able to buy that guitar style with the body, right, that has the pickups and the thin line nature to it, if you don't love the neck or you love the body so much, say you want to throw in a set of Lindy Fralin pickups in it, Goto, bridge, and all that, it wouldn't be that hard of work to do that. But if you want to upgrade the neck because Fender didn't even make sure that their own factory didn't cut the pocket right to be able to fit a Fender neck on it, you're shit out of luck. You're shit out of luck. And at that point, you're either selling the guitar, because, I'm really picky with necks. If I don't love a neck, I can't play that guitar. I sold the CE24. That guitar was gorgeous. It was limited edition. It's just too thin of a neck for me. So it's one of those things where I don't understand Fender's logic. It's not like it's a cost-cutting thing. Just cut the damn neck pocket so it'll take a Fender neck. You are Fender. You can do this. You have the ability to do this. And it's not like they don't sell the aftermarket necks. You can buy directly from Fender American Professional 2s, roasted versions of the Venteras, regular made in Mexico 50s and 60s necks. You can buy them direct from Fender. So they're shooting themselves in the foot. What do I know? I'm not the billion-dollar corporation. Oh, someone's delivering something because I heard the UPS man, and obviously you can hear the dog. I sold that guitar, Rick. I sold it. I still have the bridge and the tuners here. I got to sell those. I think I have a package. 1 second. What do we got, Ace? Nothing? False alarm. False alarm. All right. Okay, so let me catch up. Yeah, that's the long and short of it with that guitar. How did you hear about Dave's anyways? I mean, Dave's is up here in Wisconsin, so how did I hear about them? Because play all around, man. When you go out and you're gigging, you get to see a lot of cool shops, right? Because when you go into places that you've never been before, you want to explore. And what's one thing that we all like doing? Whenever we're on vacation, or even if you're not just going out to play, if you just go on vacation, what's one thing we all do? We look for places that we can buy guitars. We want to go into cool guitar stores that we normally wouldn't have access to. And I happened to find Dave's. And the rest is history. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, what's the shop I've spent the most money at in my life? I think it has to be Dave's. The 339, the Jazzmaster, the Jaguar, the Mustang, and countless other guitars that have come and gone. All bought at Dave's Guitar Shop. No, but that's the thing, Max. They wouldn't be able to do that. Fender actually, and that's the thing. That's really smart of them by having it exclusive to the Squire line. Like, again, going back to that Cabronita Thin line, there is no Mexican version of it. There is no American version of it. There is no Japanese version of it. There's only the Chinese version. So if you see one that has a Fender neck on it, it's clearly a parts caster. Like, there's no other option. It has to be a parts caster because Fender never offered it. So that doesn't make sense either from that perspective. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't get it. I bought guitars from shops all over the country. Yeah, I've bought from a lot of shops as well. And just Dave's happens to be the best one for used on a consistent basis. And yeah, well, let's see. I'm saying all this right now. Is there anything we can waste money on? And not waste money. I mean, I buy things to resell them. Oof. Some of the Japanese Strats and the Tellys, man. Oh, man. That's not a good price. I'll show you guys. Okay. A 339 will get you a much more unique sound. And you won't have to worry about anything on that. Mini humbuckers to put in a P90 route. No, I'd keep the P90s. But wait, no. Don't you have two guitars with P90s now? If you have two guitars with P90s, yeah, put mini humbuckers in one of them. Or you want to be really cool, put in some TV Jones. That'd be really cool. Okay, so let me go to Chrome here. I'll show you guys, because not all Japanese guitars are made equal as far as how good they are. A lot of people will hear some people like myself rave about Fender Japan, but then they will spend a lot of money. Actually, no, that's not. They didn't even label that right. Never mind. They changed it. Okay. It's not as bad. That one's pretty bad. Okay, let's load it up. Chrome. Click. Click, click. Sorry, I know you're looking at the side of my head. I can't control it. All right, can you see it? Okay, this guitar right here is not one of the sought after high end ones. This is not a guitar I would spend $800 on, nor would I recommend anybody spend $800 on. There is nothing special about this guitar. This is like basically a low end Squire E series. That's all this is. Now, I'm going to show you another guitar. Now, luckily, they have another guitar I can show you real quick. This one. Now, to the untrained eye, you might think, well, this looks like kind of the same thing. Okay? Because it's 2 years older, it's an 84. But what this is what you need to look at. The serial number, the item code. It's an SQ. The SQ is the closest you get to a JV without it being a JV. So this is designed to be much more traditional to it. This one has an alder body, whereas the other one has the basswood body. And these guitars are notoriously built a little bit better. This is the very early run of these guitars, and this is $50 less. This guitar, an SQ serial number, is better to buy than an E serial number. And E serial numbers often get touted as super high end or amazing guitars. They're not bad. They're pretty good. I would take them over anything from the Mexican factory, but I see some people wanting like $1,400-1,500 for those things. And at that point, you are crazy. You're just ripping yourself off here. Yeah, this guy, same thing. Okay, that's a 1992 Strat that sold for $850. This is just the standard. I think this is actually a 65. I don't even think that's an 85. And I say that because the way that Fender Japan denotes their grading as far as the quality of the models, for Stratocasters, you have 65, 85, 115 are the most common ones. 115s are the highest end, which will have the best finishes on them and better electronic components, hardware, stuff like that. 85 is kind of a mixed bag. 65 is like the base model, so to speak. I believe this is a 65, if I had to guess. Now, one way you could tell that whoever had this before took it off, there would be a little sticker right where I'm hovering on the top of the headstock that would denote which one it was. It's like a little hologram that would say the number 65, 85, or 115. You find a 115 at that price, you buy that bad boy up. But a 65, not as good. Not as good. So just some food for thought, a little bit of Japan class for today. Okay. Because the Japanese guitars are great, but you have to know what you're looking at. And the problem is, Telecasters and Strats look the same, whether they're new or old. So you have to really know your history a little bit more. I do exactly. Do the TV Jones fit straight in? Do you have, or do you mean TV Jones brand P90s? I'd put in Filtertrons. Would be exactly what I would do. Be both. Yeah, that's part of the reason I like some of the basswood guitars, is because I do play a little bit of funk here and there. So I think it's really good for that. And I've found one lesson I learned the hard way was to not force a certain kind of guitar out of its own element to make it try and sound like something else. Did that for years. I tried everything to make Strats and Telecasters sound like Les Pauls. Everything. And it never worked. And then one day I was just like, well, why don't I just buy a Les Paul? Yeah, I should have done that to begin with now, shouldn't I have? Lesson learned. I've never been to Citrus Groves. That's my problem. I don't sell, I just buy. Well, that is a problem, but only a problem whereas as long as you're able to pay your bills, keep a roof over your head, keep food in your stomach, have water to drink, stuff like that, you're okay. But I'm only able to get the high end guitars to keep for myself because I grind the hell out of this as far as buying and selling stuff. I work the long game. 1989 Les Paul Standard with an amazing top. Was that on Dave's, or are you just saying that in general? I think you might be saying that in general. But those Les Pauls are really good. Though they were still using ebony at that point on the Les Pauls. Even the studios were using ebony for during the late 80s and the 90s, because the studios were introduced around that time, and then their duration during the 90s, those had ebony fingerboards on them. Very good. Unless you got one of the studio lights, those weren't mahogany, those were made of balsa wood. That's what helped them keep the weight down on them. But really cool guitars. I used to have one of those. I don't buy or sell, I just wish. Yeah, we were all there at one point. If it makes you feel any better, I do that sometimes. I look at guitars I can't afford. Makes me sad. But whatever, it is what it is. Just thought about picking it up. Oh, yeah. Weren't you looking for an American original in Germany? I think that was you. It's hard to tell because the profile picture is so small in the chat. But why do that? Let me look at this poll. We have not addressed this poll. So, the majority of you, at 17 votes, and there are 17 viewers at the moment, 82% say 600 is too much for a classic vibe. So if you were one of those people who said $600 is too much for a classic vibe, I want you to leave a comment right now with what you think a classic vibe is worth to you. What you would spend. Forget inflation, forget the market, forget supply and demand. Just tell me, based on your experiences, what you think a new one should be, or what it would be worth to you, rather. Let me know. Oh, don't buy that Jaguar. Don't buy that Jaguar, because I'll want to buy it. Duesenbergs are really cool. I played a Star Player for a while. I borrowed it. I hadn't found the one that had the right neck profile for me. But they're not common. I think that's the problem. Like I don't see them out often enough to try enough of them to see if there's like one that I'm like, ooh, really blown away with. But they're really definitely, they're good guitars. They don't mess around. Really good. Okay. Oh, but I can't find one, so I'm desperate for a new guitar. Well, you're in Germany. I can't do too much to help you, unfortunately. If you were stateside, I could help you. But I am not the one to go to for help from Germany. But speaking of Germany and Harley Benton, these people, we're going to see a double-bound Telecaster from them this week or next week. And it's going to be in Lake Placid blue and candy apple red. Now, I'm not going to buy it, which is suicide. Because if I buy that, I'll get like 20,000 views on that video. But I've shown you guys what that pays. It doesn't even pay for the guitar. That Fusion 3 video has close to 30,000 views. It just passed $100 in ad revenue. So it's not like it pays for itself. You know what I mean? But part of me is praying to God, and also not praying to God, that the double bound Telecaster they make has TV Jones style pickups in it. Because I hate those spalted, those ones that they have right now. I'll show you guys. Yep, Nick, same. I was talking about you earlier. Yep. $500-$600. I can build a better guitar than anything that Squire's going to offer. That's just how it goes. All right, so you go to the good old Harla Benton's. All right, so Chrome. So where are these guys? Okay, these guys, right? The ones that come with the Filtertrons. Show me images. Now, if they made this guitar with a double bound finish on it in a traditional color and got rid of that atrocious finish and had a traditional headstock, I would buy it and put TV Jones pickups in it. I already have the bridge and the hardware. I would do that. That'd be an easy sell because I could do that again. Then I have a guitar that I could polish the frets myself on it. I'd be good to go. Wouldn't be too much. It's already routed for the TV Jones pickups. This is all. I'd be easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and then I've gotten what I really wanted. How much does this thing cost? $200? $189. $189. So with shipping, $230. Yeah. They make this guitar in Lake Placid blue, double bound. We're buying it that day. That guitar I would buy to demo. That would be cool. All right, let me get rid of that guy. There we are. Yeah, the reverse headstock isn't a deal breaker. It's just that finishes. Terrible. It's terrible. All right, let me catch up on some comments here. Made in Korea, assembled in Germany. Yeah. Recently played a J Mascis in Guitar Center that was set up perfectly. The J Mascis is the best one out of all of the Squires. Out of all of them. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the contemporaries, the CVs, whatever it is. The best Squire that they make on a regular basis and most consistent basis, I don't know why, but is the Mascis. That's the only one that I'm like, okay, that's cool. I get that. That one's a good guitar. And it's hard to beat that in that kind of price range too, because those aren't Jazzmaster pickups in that guitar. Those are P90s. So it's really unique enough in its own set. So it's different from a classic vibe, because the classic vibe are just traditional Jazzmaster single coils, whereas the P90s that come in the Mascis. So, but those always sound, those are consistently decent guitars. If there was one that I would buy blind and not be terrified of, that would be the model. But you never know if Squires will be set up well. No, you never know. But you don't know that with anything. You don't know that with anything. I was just talking to you guys about a double bound Telecaster style body with TV Joneses in it. When I got one brand new, the Fender version, the Fender Special Run Cabronita, that guitar was set up like shit out of the box, and it had dead electronics. It had a dead switch. So it's not just the low end brands. Sometimes the quality control is garbage from the higher end companies as well. All right, let me see. If you don't know how to do a bone nut yourself, then yeah, it costs you $40-$50 to get it done. If you do it yourself, it costs you $10 and some time. It's a good skill to have, learning how to cut a bone nut for yourself, because it's a great, great, great thing. So many people run to the tuners. They'll assume that if I replace the tuners, that's going to fix the stability of the guitar. No, 99% of the time it's the nut. And that's another thing it took me years to learn. The nut is the main point of friction. So if you're having binding in the nut, or the nut's not cut right, or you're using strings that weren't, the same gauge as whatever that nut was cut to, and you didn't alter it or lubricate it, yeah, you're going to have tuning problems. The nut, the bridge, then the tuners. Tuners are last as far as the stability of the guitar. Okay, that's a very good shell on the Mascis. I found them better out of the box. Yeah, Ian, I agree with you 100%. Out of the box, that's the one I trust the most. Have you ever tried a DePinto? I've never tried any DePinto guitar. I'd like to. I'd like to try all sorts of guitars. And I like being surprised by guitars I'd never heard of. I really like that. That, what was it? The Rittenhouse. Oh, what an unfortunate name in this time and age to have a guitar company named. But that Rittenhouse Telecaster that had the TV Jones in the neck, that was a cool guitar, man. If it just wasn't so over-the-top relic, I could have made a good deal and walked away with that guitar that day. But it's just too relic for my taste. Like, I don't want a guitar that's new, that has the paint literally like half sanded off the top of it. That's too much for me. Yeah, most tuners are fine. Most tuners are just fine. There's no reason to really address those. Or at least go to those first. That's not going to solve the problem first. Or people will give up on a guitar because they spent $80 on a set of Grovers or Goto or something like that, and the guitar still won't stay in tune. Well, yeah, duh, because it wasn't the tuners, it was the nut or the bridge. I would love. Well, now, let's see. How much do these things cost? See, you guys always get me in trouble. You always get me in trouble. All right, let's have a look. Chrome back up. Where are you? Beacon? There we go. Okay. Whoa. Oh, God. All right, so we're going to go to hell real quick. I apologize. Because I've heard of DePinto, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. DePinto in electric guitars. Oh, my internet's doing great. Oh, like Maserati. It's like a Maserati. Oh, that thing's freaking wild. I like it. Oh yeah, I would definitely demo one of those things. That's cool. That's a pretty cool guitar. Yeah, Korean? Huh. Is there somewhere you can buy these new? Are they still in production? That looks kind of like new old stock. 2005? Jesus. Burgundy mist version of my Jag for $4,000. That's why I buy used. All right, so let's get out of there. That's an interesting guitar. I think it looks cool. I think that's a pretty cool looking guitar. That's unique. I like guitars like that. That was part of the reason I like the D'Angelica so much, if I'm being honest with you guys. It kind of tugged at my heartstrings because I was so proud of a company for not just making a stupid Telecaster or a stupid Stratocaster or a stupid Les Paul or stupid 335. I love all those guitars, but I don't like when companies, like their main selling point is to build those style of instruments. I don't know, it just seems lazy. Have you been tempted to buy the Harley Benton Henning Pauly signature guitar? I don't even know what that is. Before I load it up, Henny Pauly? I don't know what that is. Harley Benton Henning Pauly. Well, that's why it's not popping up. No, I'm not tempted at all. I'm not tempted at all by that. I think it's ugly. Sorry. I didn't know who. Oh, that's a YouTuber. I didn't know his real name. P42. P. I'm not. That'll be the last time we try it. All right, let me see how much this guitar costs at Tolman. $380. That's cool. They gave him his own guitar. That's pretty cool. Good for him. Seems like a nice guy. I like anybody who likes and takes care of animals. I sold most of my gear before Chris DePinto. It's so sad. Nice guy. Yeah, no, he's a good YouTuber. I don't watch many reviews. I've watched a few of his. What one did I watch of his? And I made it to the end. It was like a 25-minute review. That's very rare. I think it might have been for the Captor X. Yeah, that was definitely him. He demoed the Captor X through a bunch of amps. He played just really basic stuff, but he was to the point, very matter of fact, very upfront with the fact that, yes, this is supplied to me, but I don't give a shit. You don't have to believe me. I don't care. And I'm like, this is a great way to do it. I'm like, you don't come across as fake. So if I was like really into watching a bunch of gear reviews, that's somebody I would watch for sure. Seems like a nice enough guy. Really cool room. I'm really jealous of that room. I was like, damn, my room sucks compared to that. But then again, some of you guys look at my room and you're like, damn, my room sucks compared to that. So it's all about our perspective, isn't it? We always want what we don't have. We want what somebody else has. That's life. Do I shield my guitars? Depends on the guitar. Really depends on the guitar. That 42nd Street demoed my friend's first pedal with Henning. Glenn Fricker. That's a name. They did a terrible job, which was a real shame, as normally they were good. Huh. That's interesting. Leandro, we already talked about what you wanted to talk about, too. I think, and it was because of Leandro that we started this conversation. He thought that the price of Classic 5s were ridiculous. And according to this poll, his peers and myself, we agree. 82% say 600 is too much for a Classic 5. I was seeing some people saying as low as under four. I think it was Marcus said under $400. That's what I would pay. That's what those guitars are worth to me. Yeah, and that's not even to say they're bad, but it's just a matter of knowing how much I'm gonna have to put into it to get it to be the way I want. And at that point, I'll just build my own. Fuzz face. Which one? It's like a gajillion of those. Unless you're talking about a human named Fuzzface. And if you're talking about a human named Fuzzface, I am very, 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 very unaware of who that is. So I can't give an opinion on a human. But the Fuzzface pedals, they're pretty cool. My favorite fuzz pedals, I like, my favorite one of all time is the Full Tone 70s. That one gets really velvety. I like that a lot. And then there's this one from a Mexican company, and it's called the Fuzz E-Cat. It's like super over the top and like gated. It would only be able to be used in like very specific scenarios, but I think that's a pretty cool fuzz pedal. And Warm Audio, I think it's the Foxy Lady Fuzz. That one's pretty good. The traditional fuzz faces, I never really got along with them. Good. Silicon. Yeah, the germanium ones, like I had a Full Tone 69 that was a germanium based, and it never got me what I wanted out of it. And the reason this is so embarrassing to admit, but when I didn't know anything about that stuff, and I just saw fuzz pedal and I knew Full Tone was a good brand, I saw the 69 and the 70. The 70 was dark blue, and the 69 was like a sparkle pink. I picked the 69 because of the finish. I was like, germanium, silicon, what, like, it's going to sound like a fuzz, whatever. Yeah, the one I wanted was a 70 all along. I never tried the TC stuff. Not that pedal, at least. I've tried some TC electronic stuff, just not any of their fuzz pedals. Or any of their modern stuff. I see that they're making a lot of really affordable pedals right now. I noticed that whenever I check the news section of Sweetwater, it feels like there's another TC Electronics product that's available to be purchased, and I find that to be very interesting because they're not really exploiting it, like as far as the prices go, where so many of these people, sorry, just turning that off real quick because it's buzzing me. So many of these brands, it feels like the pedals are getting more and more expensive. Like that Corey Wong pedal. It was $371 for that pedal, man. Now, it's tough. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for stopping by. So his videos are very extensive as he tries the gear with several different amps and guitars to try to identify who the gear is aimed for. He's good. From what I've seen, he's really good. Like I said, I made it through a 25-minute demo video, which says a lot. I don't make it through 3 or 4 minutes of most videos when I do that. Do you look at the Johnny Marr custom Strat with the 9 pickups? Chalky, I had no interest in it. I can't do 3 pickups in most guitars. If a guitar is not a Stratocaster, I'm trying to think of another guitar with that has 3 pickups in it that I could ever wrap my head around or want to buy. No, just the Strat. Jags 2, Les Pauls 2, 335s 2, Telecasters 2, Gretsch's 2. No, 9 pickups is just, what are you doing? But I guess if you're Johnny Marr and you've played for that long, what the hell? Get stoned and mess with some stuff. At that point, who cares? I'd be overwhelmed with 9 pickups. I'd be way too overwhelmed with 9 pickups. Too much. That's why I don't even like a lot of these push-pull and like the ability to go into like 13. I saw a mod when I was looking up for this Harley Benton that we're going to modify. Some of these wiring harnesses, they're like 13 position, 13 different sounds from one thing. And I'm like, what the hell do you need 13 sounds out of a Telecaster for? It's a Telecaster. 3. You need 3 sounds. That's the exact number you need. You need the bridge, the middle, and the neck. If you really want to get crazy, throw in the series option, the fourth selection, you're good. You don't need more than that. Don't apologize, Chalky. I get overwhelmed. That's just me. And that's part of the reason why I don't get along with a lot of the digital interfaces. Most of them. Because I'm too stupid. Like, when I open up the Helix native on my computer, I almost have like a panic attack. I'm like, there's too much for me to set. Like, I want to be able to just go to an amp or go to a pedal that has like 3 knobs on it, twist them a little bit to find what I like, and be done. You're talking about like on the Helix. If you've ever opened up the HX Edit, it is terrifying to somebody like me who doesn't want to deal with that. Every single parameter to the exact 10th or 100th of a degree, and there's like 50 parameters per effect, and then you have to put them in the right order. Ugh, I get scared. I'm like, no, I want something simple. I'm an old man. All this digital stuff's too much. I love that about the Quad Cortex. The Quad Cortex, that was probably the best part about it, was that it acted like a guitar pedal, like an old school guitar pedal. It was very easy to get a good sound out of anything from that and be done with it. The Helix, it takes a little bit more work, but it still sounds good. And I'm sure the Johnny Marr sounds great too with 9 pickups. I just don't see... I don't know. I don't see why you would need it. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. After when I'm cleaning up in the house today, because I got some cleanup to do, I am going to find a demo of that guitar, and I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to hear if what this hype is all about with this Johnny Marr Stratocaster with 9 pickups. Because now I got to do it, and then maybe my opinion will change. All right, and we'll talk about it next week. I never spend more than 100 on a fuzz, overdrive, or distortion. Yeah. It's understandable. But if you guys were around for when I did the Jackson Audio, the stream of the Optimist, I didn't realize that it had a third feature on it besides Overdrive 1 and Overdrive 2, because I'm an idiot. And there was no instruction manual telling you this. So when I opened it out of the box, there was no documentation. I was like, okay, just 2 overdrives. You have an EQ that you can have on and off independently of each overdrive. That is so powerful. I talk about this more in the demo, the full demo that I already shot. But the ability to, like, if you're somebody like me, say, like, I play a Jag, mainly, when I go out and I play. I'll play a Jaguar, but then I'll also have the 339. You can have the EQ set on a pedal like the Optimist so that when I switch from the Jaguar to the 339, I just, boom, EQ is set standard straight for the Gibson then. Instead of having to go to the amp and change any settings like that, I can leave the amp how it is, and then just very quickly at, the touch of 2 switches on the ground, I'm back to a Gibson. Then if I want to switch back to the Jag, I turn the EQ off. That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's a very powerful EQ. It does a lot more than you would think. So, ugh, bless me. I was very impressed with that. If I had known that it had that in it, I saw it said EQ, but it didn't say how to engage it or what it did. Like, it does a little more than just a basic 3-band EQ does. I thought it was cool. Well, I mean, when I say I'm old as in, like, most people my age, like Dave, the guy I do the podcast with, he'll spend more time editing all those damn parameters. He likes that shit. He enjoys that kind of sound creation and, like, manipulation and taking everything to, like, the 10th or the 100th or the 1000th of a value and making it, like, just perfect. I don't want to do that. I want to play guitar. So that when I say I'm old, that's what I think of. But I am almost 40. Getting dangerously close now, especially after this last birthday. Which isn't old. And the fact that I look so young helps me out a lot. But it doesn't change reality. I feel bad. I think Chalky thinks I was being mean. I wasn't being mean. I get overwhelmed. But my opinion did change on the pedal. It works for me. And you know, the second channel I didn't like as much on the overdrive as the first one, because the first one's the one that's based on the Klon. The second one is the one that's kind of its own independent circuit. I didn't like that as much until I started to play the 339 with it on a low gain setting. Oh, it's great for rhythm work. It's really good. I almost want to edit that in to the demo video, but then I'd have more shit to shoot, and I have to film a little bit more for other stuff for the weekend, because that's how this goes. I have to get as much done as I can when I can, so that when my kid's home, I'm not worried about making YouTube videos or playing music. I can hang out with her, you know. But this has been the full hour. Let's see the final results of this poll. 22 votes, 82% of you. Yeah, we're stuck straight on there. 82%. See, Nick, I avoided it, and I avoided it on purpose. I had an 11 rack, 2010. And I played with that for about a year and a half. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll go back to something else. It was convenient being able to record a decent guitar quality in silent. But, it is what it is. So, that's where I'm going to end this, guys, today. We made it a full hour. And before, we start talking about the same things that we've already talked about, I'm going to run. I got to rewatch this, timestamp it for all the people who choose to watch it after the fact. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. I was behind on that because on my birthday, I did the demo, and then I said to myself, I'm not going to open up social media. I'm not going to open up YouTube. I'm not going to do comments or anything like that. I just want to focus on my family for the rest of the day. So I did. So I still got some to catch up on. But it is what it is as far as the comments go. They come in so much now that it's like, it's a first world problem, but I used to be able to respond to all of them immediately. Now it's like, if I don't go for a day, it's like I got 60 things to catch up with. And I'm like, okay. So it's cool. I appreciate all of them. I try to answer as quickly as I can. I still answer all of them. But I'm going to get going for today. Thank you guys for stopping in. I'll see you tomorrow for the Jackson audio, the full demo of it. And we'll go from there. And you'll see me another little mini interview / conversation with my wife this weekend as well. That should be fun. You guys really enjoyed that last time. Until then, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you have a great weekend.